Hello, friends. Uncle Marv here with the very first podcast episode of the IT Business Podcast. This is our regular time slot, still here, same time, Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. And that's probably how it's going to be the entire year. So thank you for joining us. For those that are joining for the very first time, I'm assuming that's one or two of you. This is a show for IT professionals, managed service providers, and we talk about things to help you run your business better, smarter, and faster. I talk with other IT business owners. I talk with vendors in the channel, and sometimes we talk tech. Sometimes we talk shit, but either way, you're going to get something good. Tonight, I do not have a guest, as is customary. The first episode of the year, I just kind of come on myself here and tell you about the state of where I'm at, the state of where I see the podcast going. I leave all the prognosticating of the tech industry to the experts that I'll have on in later weeks, and all the people posting on Facebook and LinkedIn and all those thought leaders out there. That ain't me. But we will get into some stuff later. I do want to make sure that before we get too far into the show, that I want to add thoughts and prayers to the people out in California that are being affected by the fires. And I don't know much. I know that there's about 5 fires that are happening right now with over 1,100 structures destroyed, more than 200,000 homes without power. We're talking thousands and thousands of acres, forest fires happening there. I think it's a low death toll, although any death is not good. But I think the death toll I saw earlier was 5, with many more injured. Listen, I don't have any family out there. I do have some tech friends out there. I don't know where in relation to the fires that you are. I do know that I saw Lisa Rowley posting about it earlier. I know that Brian Weiss is somewhere out there. I believe Kevin is out there. There's certain people that are out in California. I just don't know where in relation to the fires. For those of you that do know people out there, again, thoughts and prayers for the people out there, and hope that all is safe. So do that. As we get into the show, I should probably go ahead and get a lot of the stuff out of the way. There was a lot of movement over the holidays since we had our holiday show, as is customary. A lot of people changing jobs, changing positions, and we saw, David Powell has joined LionGuard as Chief Revenue Officer. Dave Kava is announcing himself as the owner at PeopleSharp, even though that's something that he's kind of done out there. Dave, just so you know, your book, The Pumpkin Plan for MSPs, is, I believe, first or second on the IT Business Book Club list for this year. So that will be happening there. John Fazio is now sales manager at George APAP. Dave Nankervis is Chief Revenue Officer at Timis. And I don't know if that's a reason, but Timis, I believe, was the second company to call me after the new year, doing a vendor call. There were some promotions. Ryan Denning, VP of Sales at BVoIP. Morgan McBride is now the MSP Events Manager at Nerdio. And I don't even know how to say her last name, Zerlenko, was promoted at CyberFox. There was a whole bunch of stuff there. But probably the biggest bit of news that I have is that Brooke Lee is now the VP of Community and Channel over at LionGuard as well. So apparently there is a big influx of things happening at LionGuard. So of course, I reached out to Michelle and said, what's going on over there? And they are going to be the first guest that will be attending the live show next week at this time. And it is probably going to be Michelle, Brooke, maybe David, maybe Joe, the CEO, I don't know, but it's going to be a LionGuard party next week here at the IT Business Podcast. So that is going to be happening. I also, just so let you know what else is coming up, I had a chat with TD Synnex. They have done a couple of things, and one of which is a new MSP partner program to go along with their cloud program that they've been doing. They started changing it. I believe it's called, let's see, they have Stellar, and then they have something else that started in September. So they are going to be pushing a lot of the stuff for MSPs. And so they are going to be on the show. Bitdefender has a new partner program, or reimagined, as I should say. A lot of stuff there. So a lot has happened. We did have to say goodbye to a friend of the show. And actually, he was a friend for a long time. Ken Dwight, the virus doctor, many of you know, who dedicated over 5 decades of his life to the computer field, started doing the virus doctor stuff in 2002, wrote a book, The Bug-Free Computing, you see there. He has one of those legacies that is of resilience and innovation. Those of you that know him, I know he was a big part of the communities that I was a part of back in the day, going back to Podnuts days. Ken was always helpful in helping us understand how to find malware and ransomware and stuff in the early days. So rest in peace, Ken Dwight. And I'm sure that his impact will not be forgotten. Let's see. Another announcement. PIA announced that Joey Todd was stepping down as CEO. I believe this happened last week, and it was effective immediately. So a lot of things happened, and I'll have links to some of the press releases that were out there, some of the informations that, of course, you guys, if you have not seen the information, you can go and look that up. If you notice the intro, if you're watching the video either live tonight or after the fact, you saw that I only had one sponsor listed up. NetAlly is continuing on as the premier sponsor for the show. And I had a chat with them already. We are going to be doing a huge emphasis on NetAlly this year. I'll talk about that in just a moment. But I have a couple of the other sponsors that you have recognized that have given verbal commitments. And I am just waiting for the final ink to be dry before we announce what those are. And you saw a little note that you can be a sponsor. We've opened up some additional sponsor slots. So for very little money, you can sponsor some stuff at the IT Business Podcast, from helping with the music selection, the editing, the live stream, and all of that stuff. So if you have not yet received some of our sponsor packages, reach out to me as a vendor, and we will get that out to you. But I'm sure we will have all of that, at least 2 more in place by next week, and you'll see them in their regular slot. Let's see here. I want to do this. So I'm not going to do a Florida man story tonight because, as I had announced last month, the Florida Man Games will be happening March 1st. The second edition of this is happening in Elkton, Florida. And if you don't know where that is, don't worry about it. It is out in the middle of nowhere up near St. Augustine. You go up almost to St. Augustine and take a left if you're driving north. You take a right if you're driving left. And you just head out until the mosquitoes start to bite. And that is where the Florida Games are going to be. I will be there as a media consultant. We don't know exactly what we're going to be doing there, but we will be there. And I will be there trying to get some interviews and I'm going to be a participant in any of the games. Don't think like that. I don't have camouflage stuff to wear, but I will be there, and we will capture as much as we can for the Florida Man Games, and more to come on that. Let's see here. And in the same vein, I should probably say, listen, I know that I told a lot of you that I probably won't be on the road as much as I was last year, but what? I'm sorry, I'm just reading a note in the chat from Eric, All Things MSP. I'll mention you in just a second, Eric. I know that I said I probably wouldn't be doing as much as I was last year, but that does not seem to be the case because I just signed up to be a part of ThreatLocker's Zero Trust World that is happening in February, the 19th through the 21st. So that will be my first time in attendance there. And I, again, will be there as a media person. I'll have a booth and do some interviews there, most likely with Danny Jenkins, again, the CEO, as well as some others. Details, again, for that will be coming as well. So we've got a lot of stuff. It looks like I will be traveling probably once a month again this year, probably 10 tech events. I will be already out this month. I'll be going to PodFest at the end of this month. And then it looks like I've got another reunion that'll be happening later this year. So I will be on the road a lot, and it should be quite interesting. So I did want to go back, and I saw Eric Anthony in there. So Eric Anthony, for those that do know, hosts another show right ahead of this one on the YouTube and the Facebook for All Things MSP. Today he had Dean Trimpalis from Empath on. They were talking about employee hiring and how things have shifted. And, those of us that are, I think he was saying Gen X, Gen Y, boomers or whatever, we need to change our ways in understanding how workers are today. And a word came up right as I was about ready to sign off about loyalty and the fact that in the old days, you would go, interview for a job. It was a place that you expected to be there for many, many, many years, hopefully until you retired, and that company would take care of you. Those days aren't so much. And now we are the ones that are doing the hiring, and we already know that either the people that are coming to work for us aren't going to be around for many, many years, or we know that we are not going to be employing them for many, many years because we will want them to grow in a particular manner at a particular pace. And in some cases, some people need to move out. And a lot of that is our industry because most techs want to kind of, move up real fast. They want to do all the cool stuff. So once they've done all the manual labor stuff and all the scripting and all that, they want to move up, do bigger projects. And in some cases, you can't do that unless you move either to a bigger company or you move out on your own. So that's the nature that we're in. But the loyalty part reminded me that I wanted to give a shout out to two people. So for those that don't know, this is now my 28th year in this business. I've been doing computers 30, I don't know, something like that. But this is 28 years as MB Systems. And loyalty came up for me because twice over the holidays, I had calls from old consultant friends who I've not done business with in quite some time. The first one was a consultant that I had kind of worked with her back in the late 90s, early 2000s. We tried to do a couple of jobs that didn't work out. And then in 2002, she referred me to what is now my largest client. And we hadn't done much since then. And she's kind of morphed her business and kind of got rolled up into another group. She's part of a management group and they do a bunch of stuff. She's smart. She's written books. She's done all this stuff. But she called me and asked if I'd be available to help with one of her clients that they are helping them with a product, but they don't do the network side and they needed a 365 migration. I said, sure, I'd be glad to do that. And so I've talked with them and it looks like we're going to be doing that starting either this weekend or in a couple of weeks. So that was good. I hadn't talked to her in years. And then a second call came in from another consultant who, before the other client had become my biggest one, this person had referred my biggest client. Actually, they're the ones that I fired back in 2017. But needless to say, these are people that I feel grateful to. I feel loyal to. That these are people that I've talked to for 20 plus years. And one of the things that I can say is in this industry, if you know, nurture your relationships and believe in loyalty, that things will come back around. And I've gotten 2 opportunities from both of these people that I appreciate. So that was something that got triggered in me that even though I don't have employees anymore, it was just something I thought about in the roaming nature of our industry. And yeah, there are some of us that have been around for many years, but a lot of people come and go. A lot of people come and go. And we need to recognize and thank the people that stay, that are productive and help us out in any way possible there. So thanks for that discussion, Eric. I want to go back and chat real quick about NetAlly. I mentioned that we're going to be doing a lot of stuff with them. So towards the end of last year, I started getting a lot of requests, a lot of personal requests for assistance because I had the NetAlly tools and I could come in and do some network troubleshooting and verifying of stuff. But it was odd that I got some comments about, hey, can you show us more stuff on the podcast? You talk about this tool all the time, but you never show us what it does. And I go back and say, well, I did. I had 3 episodes at the beginning of last year where we did a deep dive into all of the tools from the link sprinter to the to the Etherscope and all of that. But then I went back and looked at them myself and thought, okay, all of the stuff that we did was kind of cursory or on the surface. We didn't really do a true deep dive in anything. And then I went out on the YouTube and looked, and there are a couple of people that do some stuff out there. Of course, the biggest person that does stuff is our friend Mike Panacki. And a lot of his stuff they're not like openly available because a lot of his trainings are for specific enterprise organizations. He does stuff for Fluke, where he trains people on the Fluke tools and stuff. But for the things that happen in the regular life of an IT professional like myself, where we are managing networks across the board for many clients, we're not there every day. We're doing prospecting where we walk into a network and we don't know the environment and stuff. I use my NetAlly tools all the time. And so one of the things that I'm going to try to do, and we'll see how well I do it, is I want to spend a lot more time doing just single shows. And they're probably not going to be podcasts. They're probably going to be video based, where I can hook up a tool and run through 1 or 2 things that the tool does and get really specific with it to show people why the NetAlly tools are different. They're not your regular tester. And that's the best way I can describe it, because a lot of the times in a chat room or in a forum, when people are asking, hey, what's the cheapest tester I can get, or what's the cheapest certifier I can get? First of all, we don't always understand the differences in the terminology. Most of us will never, ever use a certifier. Those are really going to be for actual cable installers. If you're installing cable as part of your business, then obviously you should have a certifier. But a lot of what we need to do is to simply verify that the network works. We need to verify that the cables will do what they're supposed to do. They'll run at the speeds that they're supposed to run at, that you can plug a device into a port, get an IP address, you can ping a server, you can do services across. The NetAlly tools will do this, which is more than just a simple cable tester. Those $45 cable testers that you're going to get from the big box stores, they're going to be fine to give you continuity testing and let you know, yeah, this cable, it's fine. But it's not actually going to verify that that cable will do VoIP, or verify that that cable will do 1G or 10G. The NetAlly tools do. So that's something that I'm going to do this year, is we're going to go into each of the tools, and I'm going to go through them all because uh, I don't have them all. There's actually another one that came out late last year that I do not have yet, but it is an upgrade to one I do have. It's the Link Runner. I have the 3000. There is a 4000. And from what I understand, the 4000 is in between the 3000 and the Etherscope. So if you're confused already, don't worry about it. I'm going to go through them. Your starter tool, the Link Sprinter, it's a tool that fits in the palm of your hand, and it'll do basic troubleshooting. And it's great for frontline techs, your little techs that, not little techs, I didn't mean it in that way. But, if you've got a tech that just needs to go out and have something in their go bag to test stuff on a regular basis, the Link Sprinter is the way to go. The Link Runner is a step up above that, which will do a little bit more testing. It'll do actual verification, a step above the Link Sprinter. The Etherscope, and I'm going to put the Etherscope and the Cyberscope. Those are probably the two flagship devices that will do discovery on a network. So they will go out and tell you all the physical things that they can find on a network. They will try to identify them. They will try to look into the switches, do an SNMP analysis. You can actually do load testing on cables. So if you've got somebody that, you're fighting with the cable guy that says, well, the cable certifies as 1 gig. Well, you can put a gig load on the Etherscopes and test those cables and see if they will actually survive at that load. And again, the newer ones will go up to 10G. So if you're really running 10G in a network, you've got 10G switches, you can actually verify that those things will do that. So those are the Etherscopes. I do have those. The Cyberscope has some additional abilities where you can do things like NetStat testing, and it will align with, I think, 4 or 5 of the CIS controls. So I'm going to go through each of those. So that's what we're going to do as part of the network series that we're going to put together. I don't know what it's called yet. I'm talking with my guys over there, but they did confirm, yes, we are going to stay involved with the podcast, and we are going to do more stuff. I will see about getting the latest tool, and I'm actually looking at the possibility of doing a NetAlly Link Runner versus the Fluke Link IQ. I wanted to do the battle there and see how that goes. So that is what I wanted to go over with NetAlly in the renewal of their sponsorship. That is what we are going to do this year. I also have on the docket at some point is to do a Domotz versus Auvik battle. That has not been fleshed out yet, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there because it has been mentioned that we should do that. So Domotz and Auvik, we are going to do that. And I've got some other stuff. Those I do not want to jinx, but a lot of stuff there. And then, of course, I do want to do a much better job of asking you, the listeners, what is it that you would like to see done here? I got a few suggestions when I did the holiday poll for the giveaway stuff. I did get a few suggestions of that that we are going to look into. One suggestion is going to be less Florida Man, but if you were watching earlier or listening earlier, you know that I am going to the Florida Man games, so there will not be any less Florida Man. In fact, there may be more Florida Man because of that. And I'm actually looking for a Florida Man sponsor. So if that interests you, let me know. Reach out to that. I also, let's see here. Let me share this screen. Let's see, which one do I want to share? Not that one. That is the podcast. So let's share this screen first. I want to do this. I don't ask enough for your support, and I want to do that. We are going to make a special effort to do that. It's not just vendor sponsorships. I know if you look at the amount of sponsors I have, it's not a lot. I'm not out here to make money with the podcast. I just don't want my MSP business to fund the podcast and lose money, blah, blah, blah. So really a lot of times I'm just looking to, you know, recoup some of the expenses that go along with it. So on the IT Business Podcast page up at the top, you're going to see sponsors. That is probably going to change to say partners. So anybody that has ever been a sponsor or partner in the past is still here. So even though I have NetAlly here, Super Ops was a main sponsor last year. TrueGrid was. Rhythms is an ongoing sponsor for when I do on-site stuff and need portable internet, the internet in a box. We're going to get into them a lot down the road. Thread did a sponsor segment of the IT Nation Pitch It stuff last year. Computers Done Right was the official live stream sponsor for a couple of years. Synchro, Instant House Call, Auvik and StreamYards. These are actually affiliate links. I haven't pimped those. I mean, I pimped the StreamYard thing, but none of you guys click on that a lot. Just nobody ever signs up using my link. And then Auvik reached out to me, and that's why we're going to do a Domotster and Auvik thing. But I am going to encourage you a lot to go to the page, click on the sponsorships here. And if I do have something where there's a trial, I encourage you to click on that and do that. And then over here on the other tab, support the show. And I got rid of Patreon. Patreon was getting a little funky. They were doing some stuff. It wasn't easy. So now I just have two basic options for you, the listener, or you, the video watcher, to support the show. One of which is you can just buy me a coffee. And that's just a little one-time gift where you can get over here, select the number of coffees, and select that. And I would appreciate that. And then, of course, Ko-Fi or coffee, depending how you say it. And you have the option to do the monthly equivalent of what Patreon was. So you can be a tipster, a supporter, or a partner and do that monthly. Or again, you could do a one-time thing. I'm not trying to lock you in. I'm not trying to do stuff. This membership thing it's not really a membership. It's not like a community. I'm not going to, spam you. We don't have a place where we meet every week and all of that. I am going to work on getting a gallery of pictures and stuff. And as you can see, Dawn is already here. Dawn Sizer, friend of the show. Rob Ray, the godfather of the channel. And that's me with a fake medal at the ASCII in Boston. And every now and then I'm going to put things on here for you to buy. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that. So there. So those are going to be the things that I asked. And then, of course, Amazon. That's probably the best way that a lot of you can support me. You don't have to commit to anything monthly. You don't have to put out anything large. You just click on that. You can then save this as your starting link, your bookmark, and go here as your first page for Amazon. Is that showing on the screen there? It is not. How do I switch the screen? You know what? I don't even know if you guys saw like the last stuff I was doing. So let me reshare. So if you did not see all the stuff that I had up, I apologize. But I will click this and share this. So this is if you were at the IT Business Podcast page, you click on Amazon. This is going to bring you to Uncle Marv's Amazon store, and you can you don't have to, but of course, things that have been purchased before or things that we have promoted. I've got categories here. I've got the 2024 Black Friday stuff that was mentioned that you can click in and see what those are. And at least maybe you don't have to purchase them, but maybe it gives you inspiration. But the point is, if you go here and click, you don't do anything special. You just shop on Amazon as you normally do. There's no jacking up of prices. You pay what you would normally pay. And then Amazon gives me a little bit of commission on the back end there. And that's what I would ask you to do. And that's super easy. And you can do it without thinking and support the show. and that would be appreciated. And because of that, let me actually do this. I went back and looked at some of the purchases that have been made by you, the listener, and share this screen. I want to go through one that I saw that just caught my attention. Is it that? Nope. Where's the screen? I should practice this. Is it a Chrome tab? Come on. There it is. Too many windows open. So this was an item that it looks like somebody purchased. I think they purchased 3 of them in the last week. It is the Anker 60-watt 6-port USB charging station. Now, I'm just showing you this to give you a little bit of inspiration. So I had purchased this all the way back in 2016, so that's why you see that up there. But somebody bought this in the last week, and this is something where obviously if you need additional charging ports at your desk, or you have customers that are always asking, they're always plugging stuff into, the computers. For instance, the people that plug their phones into computers to charge them, I encourage them to buy this and tell them, look, you don't want to mess up your computer. We don't want to see your computers on there. We're going to block the USB ports, blah, blah, blah. Have them get something like this. There's 6 ports on here with the intelligent charging on there. It's 6 ports. They can charge multiple devices at a time, multiple tablets, multiple phones, additional chargers if necessary, full speed charging on every single port. Universal compatibility. So all you do is get whatever cable that plugs into this. And it's actually pretty rugged. I think you saw I've had mine for 4 years. It's probably time for another one. And it's easily mountable in any desk position, things like that. So that's a great little thing there. So I'm going to try again to look at stuff that listeners are buying. Again, I don't know who buys stuff. I don't know everything. I just know I get a thing at the end of every month that says, hey, this much is coming. And then I have to go in and dig deep to find out what actually got purchased and go back and see, oh, that'd be cool. So I just want to bring these things to you. If they are of interest, I hope that they are, that you would consider always using the link for the IT Business Podcast to do your purchase. So there is the video there. So Anker, a very prominent name that you should know and trust. I might be looking at the big charger because I need something to charge stuff up while I'm at the Florida Man games. So just wanted to give you guys an idea of how you can support the show this year. And again, simple. Support the show, buy me a coffee, or click on the Ko-Fi, shop on Amazon. And if you are our vendor, give me a call. Maybe you can be the Florida Man sponsor for 2025. That's pretty much it, folks. I wanted to keep it short. I know that there's a ton of stuff happening week 1. Everybody's getting hammered with calls. A bunch of video stuff has already popped up with people trying to do webinars and, stuff right out of the box. And listen, I'm going to be here all year. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't hard to find, as some people would say. Check us out, itbusinesspodcast.com. When you get there, click on the follow button at the top right and find your favorite podcatcher, and you can listen to all of the audio shows on the go. Check us out here on the live stream Wednesdays at 8 p.m. And we are on YouTube, LinkedIn, and the Facebook. So wherever you want to watch, you can watch. And I want to thank everybody for coming on. And Valerie Pierce was here today. Thank you very much for joining. If you like the show, folks, tell a friend, come back. Oh, crap. I made a special point. Hang on. I got to do this. So for those of you that are listening, I just turned around. Behind me on the shelf, I have a new sign. So one of the things I got for Christmas from my niece while I was at the cabin was this on-air sign that I was able to hang. So I now have that behind, and I was supposed to have that turned on already. So I have an on-air sign. I actually have some on-air door hangers over there. I got a great podcast shirt that I actually was looking at doing myself for some other stuff, but my niece went and they made me a shirt. And you'll love it, folks. It says holla on the front, and then it's got all of my podcast stuff on the back. It's going to be cool. I'm going to print a bunch of them, and you guys will see them out there. But apologize for the dead air for those of you listening by audio, but for those of you watching, there it is, the Uncle Marv on-air sign. They were trying to do an Uncle Marv's IT Business Podcast neon sign, but I don't think that was going to happen. And and so, yes, of course, so Brian in the chat was about to say, hey, you forgot to turn on the sign. Yep, I sure did. First time with the sign, and pretty cool. Let's see what else is in the background. So I did a couple of changes, and I'll probably make some more. I am thinking about getting a whole new shelf system back here because I can't really stage all the stuff I want. Over here, you see there's a picture of Paco and I when we were at a show here. There's a Sonic Wall mug. There's a line guard thing. So if people have asked me, how do they get stuff on the wall behind me? So two things. One, you either got to be a vendor or I have to use you as part of my stack. So that's why you see the NetAlly bag up here. You see the NetAlly cup over here. You also see the Movilla 2024 swag winner. That will probably be down in a week or two. There's another Lion Guard thing up there. There's another Sonic Wall mug over here. You can't see it just off screen. There's a Rhythms thing over there. Let's see. Oh, me and the Godfather in a picture down here. These were also pictures. So these pictures are done for me last year. I just never put them up. There's like 5 pictures that people took and framed for me. And let's see, what else am I missing? There's probably some other stuff. There's the Baby Yoda that's down here. App River, it's who I use. What's over here? Enable, Super Ops, all that stuff there. So I'll be moving this around, but of course I had to show the sign, and I'll have to let the niece know that, yep, put it up there. There it is. And of course, I don't talk about this as much, but the AC, for those of you that have not heard why those initials are up there, AC stands for Amy Coons. Amy Coons was a friend that I met in college, and we were an RA, resident assistants together. We were in student government. We were in a couple of other stuff, and we remained good friends after college. She went on to be very big in the zoo industry. She was a biologist. She worked with rare animals. So in Palm Beach, where we went to school, she actually was at a rare wildlife conservatory, and she worked with, the very rare species of animals. She then went on to work for the Chicago Zoo, and she was in charge of the gorillas there. Very, very prestigious position there. But she was she was still here in Palm Beach when I was in college. And then when I went to grad school, and I went to grad school in Carolina, that's another story, but I would come home and she would be one of the people that I would hang out with. Turns out that I didn't know this at the time, but I was one of her best friends. I mean, I consider her a good friend. I just didn't know I was that high up. So she passed away 2 years ago. And when her dad asked, he was giving away a bunch of stuff, and there were a couple of things that when he asked what I wanted those, and I got a gorilla mask and a couple of other things. But the reason that those are up there is that Amy Coons is probably the final piece of the puzzle when it came time for me to make my decision to leave the computer store that I was at and start my business, leave and be out on my own. She was the one that I had the most conversations with. I also had conversations with my best friend MacGyver at the time. I had conversations with my banker friend Penelope, who was also a college friend, and some others. And there was probably a group of, I think it was 5 or 6 that I sat and chatted with. But Amy was the one who put the nail in the coffin for me to get it done and said, look, if you need money to get this started to hold you over, I got you. And if it wasn't for her, I would not be here today. I probably would have done this, but it probably would not have happened in the way that it did. It would not have sustained the way that it did. And I owe a lot of that to her. So Amy Coons is always going to be remembered by me. And I probably should do some sort of tagline at the end of every show to recognize her. That's why you see that, folks. So now you know, and it'll be there as long as I do the podcast. So glad you guys got me tearing up. I'm going to say good night. So that's it. Thank you very much for tuning in. I see several of you stayed and listened to that personal stuff there. I appreciate that. I will be back next week again with the folks from Liongar, and we've got a couple of audio shows that are also coming up this month. I appreciate that. You tune in again, your favorite podcatcher. Any questions, any comments, send me an email, send me a message on the socials. That's going to do it. And we'll see you next time. And until then, holla.